The message came through just as I was finishing my morning coffee. Emma, please don't come to the graduation tomorrow. The kids are uncomfortable around you, and James doesn't want any tension. Let's respect their wishes. My fingers trembled slightly as I lowered the cup and stared at my mother's words. Uncomfortable? With me? The aunt who had quietly paid for their entire college education? I'm Emma Sullivan, and at 38, I had just been uninvited from my niece and nephew's graduation ceremony, one I had unknowingly funded. Had the situation not stung so deeply, I might have laughed at the irony. 4 years earlier, James, my brother, lost his job in a brutal round of layoffs. It wasn't long before bills piled up and college hopes for his twins, Amy and Michael, began to fade. Both had just been accepted into prestigious universities, but with their father unemployed and their family drowning in debt, those dreams seemed ready to slip away. I still remember that call, James sobbing quietly, not to ask for help, but just to vent. I failed them, Emma. His voice cracked. They've worked so hard, and I can't even give them this. He didn't have to ask. That night, I contacted both schools and made arrangements through their financial aid departments. No name, just anonymous payments. I had worked hard and lived modestly, but my investments had done well. I could afford to help, and these were my family. From afar, I followed their progress through updates from my parents, Amy excelling in marine biology, Michael shining in computer science. I never told a soul what I'd done. I wanted them to succeed without feeling obligated or indebted. But somewhere along the line, something shifted. Karen, James's wife, began whispering about me. She called me unstable for living alone, hinted that something must be wrong with a woman my age without a husband or children. Slowly, the kids stopped reaching out. The once affectionate bond between us was replaced by polite distance. I picked up my phone again and read my mother's follow-up text. You understand, right? Karen thinks the kids need a peaceful day. Maybe we can send you pictures afterward. Pictures. As if I were some distant cousin instead of the woman who had quietly invested over $200,000 in their future. The same woman who never missed a school play, a game, or a recital until Karen decided I wasn't family material. Then my father's message popped up. Princess, please don't make this harder than it is. James is finally getting back on track, and the kids are thriving. Let's not stir anything up. I walked into my office and opened the drawer where I'd kept every document related to my anonymous donations, payment confirmations, university correspondence, even hand-signed letters from administrators, thanking their unnamed benefactor. For 4 years, I had watched from the sidelines while James and Karen took full credit for sacrificing everything to get their children through college. I sat through family dinners where they boasted about their budgeting wizardry, nodding silently while Karen basked in praise for making it all work. Then my phone vibrated again. This time, it was from Karen herself. Emma, I'm glad Mom spoke to you. The kids need stability right now. Your presence would just cause distress. I'm sure you understand, considering your situation. Your situation. A loaded phrase, a polite dig at the fact that I was single, successful, and unapologetically independent. I had seen the wary glances, the whispers at family gatherings, and how Karen would pull the kids close when I walked into the room, like self-sufficiency might rub off like a stain. I turned to my computer and let my fingers hover above the keyboard. Just one email. That's all it would take. One message to the financial aid office, requesting that they include my name in the donor acknowledgments at tomorrow's ceremony, as they routinely did for major contributors. It was within policy. I had every right, but I hesitated. Was I ready to tear off the mask? To reveal that the unstable aunt they had alienated had been the one carrying their dreams the entire time? Another ping from my mother. Emma, please confirm you won't come. James is nervous you might still show up. I looked at her words and made my choice. Because silence isn't always noble. Sometimes, it's just another way of allowing people to mistreat you. It was time for the truth to step forward, just like the graduates would tomorrow. I arrived at the university an hour before the ceremony, not as a guest, but as a recognized benefactor attending the private pre-event reception. Miss Thompson, the director of financial aid, greeted me with a bright smile, unaware of the personal storm I had walked through to get here. Miss Sullivan, we're so happy you chose to be acknowledged today, she said warmly, handing me a VIP badge. Your support made a tremendous difference. Both Amy and Michael have been among our top students. I returned the smile, accepting the badge with quiet dignity. Will the donor acknowledgements still be part of the main ceremony? I asked. Absolutely. You're listed in the official program. You'll be recognized just before the science and engineering degrees are awarded. That includes both of your relatives, right? I nodded, my pulse quickening as I caught a glimpse of my family entering through the auditorium's side doors. There they were, my mother looking perfectly polished, my father dressed in his finest suit, James and Karen walking with pride, completely unaware of what was about to unfold. Amy and Michael led the way, robed in their black graduation gowns, faces lit with anticipation. Another buzz from my phone. Karen again. Emma, security has been notified. You're not welcome. Please don't create a scene. I glanced at my VIP badge and couldn't suppress a grin. No, Karen. Not today. The ceremony opened as expected. A welcome from the dean. A heartfelt speech from the valedictorian. Then came the moment I had both dreaded and anticipated. Miss Thompson stepped up to the podium, her voice calm and clear. Before we begin awarding degrees, we'd like to recognize a special donor. 4 years ago, this individual stepped forward to fully fund the education of 2 promising students, support that made a lasting impact on our academic community. From my seat in the front row of the VIP section, I watched my family closely. They were watching politely, completely unaware of the storm about to break. This benefactor, who has remained unnamed until today, donated over $200,000 to ensure these students could pursue their education without financial strain, Miss Thompson announced from the stage. Please welcome Miss Emma Sullivan. A ripple of applause spread across the audience, until confusion took hold in one particular section. I stood slowly, smoothing my jacket, and began making my way toward the podium. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Karen's complexion drain to ash, James's mouth fall open, and my parents stiffen as if frozen in time. Miss Thompson continued, her voice unwavering. Miss Sullivan's generosity fully funded the academic journeys of 2 outstanding graduates we celebrate today, Amy and Michael Crawford. The twins turned toward the stage, their expressions melting from polite curiosity into stunned disbelief. In real time, they were piecing it all together. All the years they were told their parents had sacrificed to make their education possible, all the times they were warned to stay away from their unstable aunt. It was unraveling, publicly and irrevocably. I stepped up to the microphone, heart pounding, but my voice was calm and clear. Education has always mattered deeply to me, I began, following the brief speech I had prepared. When I saw 2 promising students at risk of losing the opportunity to chase their dreams because of financial limitations, I knew I couldn't stay silent. I paused for a moment and met Amy and Michael's eyes. I chose to give quietly because I believe their achievements, not my involvement, deserve the spotlight. Watching them grow into brilliant young adults has been one of my quietest joys. I took a breath, steady and composed. Today is not about me. It's about their effort, their commitment, and their future. Congratulations to the class of 2025. This time, the applause was thunderous, but I barely noticed. My focus was on the family section. Karen had her face buried in her hands. James stared blankly at the stage. My parents sat motionless, like ghosts witnessing something they couldn't comprehend. Amy and Michael looked stunned, but something else flickered in their expressions now, recognition and understanding. As I returned to my seat, my phone lit up with messages. Mom, Emma, why didn't you tell us? Dad, Princess, we had no idea. James, we need to talk. Karen, how dare you humiliate us like this? I ignored them all. This wasn't about their discomfort or saving face. This was about truth, accountability, and showing the twins that the woman they were taught to fear had always been their silent champion. The rest of the ceremony went on, but something fundamental had already shifted. When Amy and Michael's names were called, both paused before crossing the stage. Amy gave a shy wave in my direction. Michael offered a small, respectful nod. For the first time in years, I felt seen by them. As caps soared into the sky and cheers erupted, I stood to leave. I'd said what needed to be said. I'd revealed what needed to be known. Sometimes, revenge isn't a shout, it's a calm unveiling of truth, forcing others to sit with the reality they so desperately tried to bury. Outside the auditorium, families gathered in clumps for hugs and photos. My phone buzzed nonstop with more messages from relatives who'd watched the live stream. Aunt Susan, you're a legend. Asterisk Emma, Uncle Pete always said Karen was poisoning those kids' minds about you. I stood at the outskirts of the crowd, watching as my family clustered tightly together, clearly processing the shock. Karen's arms waved wildly as she argued, her face flushed with fury. James just kept shaking his head, dazed. My parents looked torn, eyes flickering between their son's crumbling facade and where I stood, alone but unashamed. Then something I hadn't dared hope for happened. Amy broke away from the group. Still wearing her gown, she walked straight toward me. Michael hesitated, then followed close behind. "Aunt Emma!" Amy's voice was quiet, uncertain. "Can we talk?" I nodded and led them beneath a nearby tree where we could speak privately. Up close, I could see that Amy's eyes were glassy with tears. "Why?" Michael asked. "Why did you do all that and never say anything?" I took a deep breath. "Because you deserve that opportunity. And I didn't want you to feel like you owed me anything. I just wanted you to succeed." Amy began. "But Mom always said." She said I was unstable, dangerous, a bad influence. I finished for her. I looked at them gently. "Tell me honestly, did I ever give you any reason to believe that?" They both shook their heads slowly. I could almost see the memories coming back to them. Birthday parties, science projects, soccer games, school plays. All the moments I showed up, until Karen pushed me out of their lives. "We should have questioned it," Michael said quietly. "We should have asked why we were suddenly told to be afraid of you." "You were children," I replied. "You trusted your parents. That's what kids do." Amy looked at me, this time with firm resolve. "Well, we're not kids anymore. And you deserve more than an apology." Just then, Karen's sharp voice pierced the moment. "Amy! Michael! Get away from her! Now!" But they didn't move. For the first time, they didn't flinch under her command. "No, Mom," Amy said, turning to face her. "We're done letting you control how we feel about Aunt Emma." Karen reached for Amy's arm, but she pulled away. "She's manipulated everything," Karen snapped. "She humiliated us in front of the whole school." "The only one who should feel humiliated is you," Michael said, his voice steady and cold. "You lied to us for years. You made us fear the one person who was actually there for us." By now, my parents had joined the group. My mother wrung her hands nervously. "Maybe we can talk about this at home," she offered weakly. "There's nothing left to talk about," I said calmly. I chose to help Amy and Michael. I stayed anonymous to avoid drama, but when you told me I wasn't welcome at their graduation, that's when I knew it was time for the truth to come out. James finally spoke. His voice was barely above a whisper. "Emma, I don't even know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," I replied. "Just understand this. Things won't go back to the way they were. I won't be your scapegoat anymore. I won't keep quiet just because I don't fit Karen's idea of a perfect woman." Then, the most powerful moment of the day happened. Amy and Michael stepped beside me. That simple act spoke volumes. Karen's face twisted with rage, but before she could lash out, Amy interrupted. "Mom, Dad, we're having dinner with Aunt Emma tonight." Michael nodded. "We've got 4 years to make up for, and a lot of thank yous to say." Together, the three of us walked away, leaving the stunned cluster of relatives behind. I felt lighter than I had in years. Truth had done more than free me. It had opened the door for Amy and Michael to see things clearly. That night, over dinner at my favorite restaurant, we laughed and cried and shared everything we'd missed. They told me about college, their dreams, and how sorry they were for believing the worst. "You know," Amy said as we finished dessert, "Mom used to say you were dangerous because you'd influence us to be different." Michael smiled. "I think maybe different was exactly what we needed." "Different," I echoed, "is what helped you graduate." As I drove home later that evening, one final message appeared on my phone. "Dad, Princess, I'm sorry. We should have seen through Karen's lies. We should have stood by you. You've always been the best of us." I didn't reply, because some endings aren't about reconciliation. Some are about truth, dignity, and letting the right people find their way back to you. Amy and Michael had found theirs.